Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Meanwhile Here on Earth. This program features in-depth conversations with the leading names in the subjects of UFOs, abductees, the paranormal, panel discussions, and the very best and brightest of the next generation of writers and researchers. Meanwhile Here on Earth, the show breaking new ground in alternative talk with your intrepid host, veteran investigative writer and researcher, Peter Robbins.
Hello, and welcome, or welcome back, as the case may be, to Meanwhile Here on Earth on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. If you're listening to this show and you would rather be watching it, you can do so on KGRA's Facebook page, or go to YouTube, type in KGRA DB, and then Meanwhile Here on Earth, and here you are. You can also access all of our previous shows on YouTube. If you become a KGRA subscriber, you gain immediate access to any and all programming, zillions of hours worth. That is really the best in paranormal broadcasting out there. Now, I was going to say as of tonight, but we have been given a special dispensation because my guest for tonight, Denise Stoner, has been scheduled and rescheduled a record number of times. And so KGRA is allowing this show to be the final show before a major policy change. And it's actually not a bad one. KGRA is a business. And in order to stay in business, they need to have subscribers. The way it's going to work from now on is you will be able to listen live to every KGRA show, this one included, as always. But if you then want to access it as a podcast at any point in the future, and watch it. And this show, because it's highly visual as a rule, is one that you are going to want to watch. You will need to subscribe. My first thought was, oh no, my friends who are poor will have to pay to watch me. My second thought was, wait a minute. The way it's going to work is that if you want to subscribe, you go to KGRA's digital broadcasting, KGRA DB, their website, scroll all the way down. And when you get to the bottom, you will see a box that says Join Now. There is a box that says, your password. And in there, you're going to have to write this down. My password is Peter. That's right, Peter. I'm going to make an educated guess that other hosts, their passwords may well be their first names. And if you type in Peter, you will receive a 30% discount. What that means is your normal monthly $6.99 cost will be $4.65. The $75 and change a year will be $50 a year. In the interests of complete disclosure here, if you have a show on KGRA that you love more than this one, you should type in their password and not mine. Ultimately, this will result in every host for every person that registers with their password receiving $1 per month per subscriber. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, and it isn't a lot. But it can be a lot as we build our subscriber bases. In my case, I would really like a year from now to have that subscriber base help me to pay my bills, quite simply. And thank every one of you that subscribes. And remember, when you subscribe using any password, you still have full access to every show on KGRA. And a little gift for you from the nice folks at KGRA. Every show that is on YouTube now, and that includes every show I've done, 30 plus shows, more than 60 hours of, I think, quality programming, will remain there for free and for good. From next week on, you will be able to watch the first 30 minutes of any show. After that, you will either stop watching it or you will subscribe and can watch it at any time thereafter or live in the future. So, that understood. Those of you that are regular listeners know my monologue can be me rambling about this, that, or the other thing, talking about some movie or television show that I've been enamored by, a good book review. Unfortunately, we have a eulogy today. I woke up Saturday morning thinking, wow, it's Saturday and it's my birthday. See my family, go out to my sister and brother-in-law's cottage on Lake Cayuga, have a nice dinner with family and friends. And then I learned from my good friend and a previous guest on this show, Greg Bishop, a wonderful writer, a great show host of a long-running show called Radio Mysterioso, that a friend and colleague of ours, Skylar Alfgren, had died very suddenly the night before. And I didn't know Skylar really well personally, in that we only met a few times, but we were back and forth for years as colleagues, bouncing ideas and thoughts off of each other through the medium of electronic communication. And it hit me very hard. And it was a strange day in that, you think about life and you often have really lousy streaks where everything's going wrong, or things for you and your family and the people you love are pretty good for a prolonged period of time, even better. And every once in a while, something awful happens at the same time that something great happens. And it's a little confusing. I felt a little like I had gotten whiplash during the day. And as I was having a really good time, feeling really sad at moments. What I want to do right now to honor Skylar is read to you some things that were written about her on Saturday by a mutual friend of ours, and for my money, the best cryptozoologist, or certainly a leading one in America, and that is Lauren Coleman. Lauren being, aside from being a prolific author and great researcher and investigator of matters cryptozoological, is also the director of the Cryptozoology Museum in beautiful Portland, Maine. And if you visit Portland, make sure to get by the museum. Check the schedule first, but it's a wonderful place. Anyway, he has a publication, it's really a blog called Cryptozoo News. And I'm going to make some quotes here from what he wrote on Saturday. And while we go, we'll look at some photos of Skylar as well. Gonzo Fortean writer Skylar Alfgren dies suddenly. After John Keel died in July of 2009, I wrote in early 2010, in the age we are entering, post-Keelian, referring to the great cryptozoologist John Keel, there appears to be one new voice that is speaking for matters Fortean, crypto, and weird. I recommend you try out Skylar Alfgren. And Skylar calls herself a gonzo journalist and a Fortean explorer. Lots of folks knew her as a smiling person, hiding terrible pain, joyful happiness. Skylar has died tragically at the age of 44, and many of us are in shock. Skylar Alfgren began a professional writing career as a teenager with a column for Fortean exploration for nationally distributed magazine. She went on to write for a huge number of publications, and as a frequent radio guest, she was viewed as an adventurous, seasoned interviewer with on-camera and improv experiences, and appeared on the likes of Weird TV and The Conspiracy Zone. Alfgren co-piloted race cars in Mexico, roped cattle on the border of Area 51. She angered the spirits of a Mayan ball court in Belize and was blamed for giving arch skeptic James Randi a heart attack. Sorry, folks. Her notions of reality were altered forever when, as a child, she witnessed her first UFO alongside off-duty airmen at the landing of the Space Shuttle Discovery at Edwards Air Force Base in 1988. Her unerring sense for the oddball, an extremely compelling and entertaining way of processing data, led her to work as a journalist, host, blogger, consultant researcher, and lecturer. Her lectures included Conspiracy Theory 2012, More Fact, Less Fiction, Charles Fort, Dogma Be Damned, and The Secret Life of Southern California. She worked for many years as the associate editor of Paranoia, a great publication of the past, a conspiracy reader, and as a columnist for UFO magazine, while applying her vast knowledge of California, the esoteric, the dark, and the weird to the small screen. Schuyler worked as a features editor, film critic, music journalist, researcher for television, an occasional television personality, auto mechanic, llama wrangler, radio guest, lecturer, and chronicler of the curious. As a successful writer and meticulous researcher, she labored in print, online, and in television. A favorite younger photo of Schuyler, looking real serious. Alfgren penned, I possess, and I love the fact, one of the things about Schuyler is she was not shy about her attributes. Quote, I possess nearly supernatural interview skills, a massive breadth of knowledge, and the ability to crack wise or not, depending on the temperature of the room. I can flit seamlessly between projects of divergent subjects while conveying my hyper-informed and truly unique voice. I have worked in television production and have a long-standing interest in documentary film. I am an extremely hard worker and I pick up new skills quickly. Additional skills include transcriber, with or without time code, and videographer. This photo is Schuyler in the 6th grade, having won a prize at a science project fair for a project on ferrets. Alfgren co-founded in 2007 the League of Western Fortean Intermediates, an investigative organization and website dedicated to exploring the mysteries and peculiarities of the American West, which featured bloggers, state by state from Washington to Texas, original guest editorials, readers, reports, and a sense of community among Forteans hither and yon. Schuyler, you are irreplaceable. You are irreplaceable. And you will be missed by those of us who loved you, who were your fans, who were your friends, who were your family. Can only imagine who you're lecturing right now, where you are. Schuyler also endeared herself to me as a fellow cat lover. Anybody that knows me knows cats are my favorite animals, but I live under the influence of one single cat. And like most cat owners, use that illusionary phrase cat owner, which roughly translates as cat slave. Schuyler took it to the next level and always was fostering cats and kittens and getting them adopted by other people. Her current picture, if you go to her Facebook page where you would see my picture or your picture or an avatar, this is the one you'll find on her page. The great Dennis Rano, our ranking UFO and other political cartoonist, immortalized Schuyler several years back with this cartoon. Like me, was also very broken up at her passing. And Schuyler's mentor was John Keel. In the world of cryptozoological and Fortean studies, John was the man. And he passed, I guess, about 10 years ago now. I had the honor of knowing him as a New York City resident and spending time through also the late, great Timothy Beckley, who we lost just 2 months ago or so, at Tim's apartment with him or at John's apartment. Anyway, she leaves a huge hole in the lives of many of us. If you are not familiar with her work, she has left a huge body of it. It will be part of her immortality. And We will miss her. I'm glad to say that tonight's guest is somebody you have missed a few times on this show simply because of rescheduling, and I'm delighted to have her here tonight. Denise Stoner is proud to be a part of MUFON Experiencer Research Team, ERT, working under and is Assistant to Director of Abduction Research Gwen Farrell and Assistant Director George Medich. She also holds the following positions as Florida MUFON Field Investigator, STAR Team member, SSD, and is also Assistant State Director of Florida MUFON. She co-authored and published her first book, The Alien Abduction Files, released in May of 2013 with Kathleen Marden. And if you do not have the UFO abduction files and you have any interest in that subject, it is a must for your library. She holds educational forums at both public and private gatherings for abduction experiencers. Her involvement in the UFO spans more than 40 years. Denise has an educational background in business and psychology and is a certified hypnotist specializing in regressive hypnosis. She began her research in hypnosis under Dr. Bob Romack, Denver, Colorado. They worked together for 5 years on pain control, smoking cessation, and past life regression research. Denise worked for more than 8 years in Denver, Colorado as Department of Interior at Department of Interior National Park Service for the Saudi Arabian team. Their task was to do the planning, design, and construction of the first national park in that country. It is called ASIR. The team of 4 won an award from the Park Service for their work. Denise was in charge of the $3 million contract, working with the embassies involved with visas and foreign travel, was liaison between the 4 team members and Saudi requests, protocol, and more. Her retirement, and I use the word lightly, from the federal government after spending 12 years with the U.S. Navy doing background investigation for new recruits wanting to enter the nuclear power school, has allowed her to expand her work with UFO research and investigation. Denise has appeared on TV to include the Travel Channel, PBS, Weird Florida, with Charlie Carlson, and been a guest on many radio shows, mine included. Denise is currently moving forward with some exciting new projects, including work she is doing in the field of past lives involving possible abductions, along with paranormal experiences and how they all might connect in past to present history. Denise facilitates private workshops for experiencers in the Orlando, Florida area, along with MUFON meetings for the public. And I'm very proud to have been a guest at one of Denise's workshops. Her hypnosis certification was earned through hypnosis and regression training at the Hypnotic Research Society by Dr. Ronald P. DeVasto. Advanced forensics regression study through the National Guild of Hypnotists, Incorporated, by Donald J. Moten. Denise can be contacted through her email address, which is dmstoner1@gmail.com. dmstoner@gmail.com. And Denise Stoner, welcome to Meanwhile Here on Earth. It's a pleasure to have you on all by yourself.
I am happy to be here, and thank you for rearranging until we get it right.
No problem, darling. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just great. Looking forward to this, Peter. I really was, yes.
Me too. As you know, this is primarily an autobiographical show. And people say you've lived a long life, which always makes me a little nervous because it reminds me when I was a child, Groucho Marx had a television show called You Bet Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a little kid, I had a pretty good sense of humor. But for some reason, Groucho Marx was a favorite of mine, in part because talk about bragging rights. My grandmother, my father's mother, grew up in a building on the in the East 80s in Manhattan, right across the air shaft from the Marx family. And she knew all the brothers growing up, played in the streets with them, but was very close to Minnie, their mom. Anyway, on the show, he had a guy from Texas who raised cows, and they chat for a while. And Groucho says, "So, have you been a cattleman all your life, or haven't you lived that long yet?" So I like to qualify that because it's you are still living your life, and
I
a
am.
very interesting one at that. So let us start not at the beginning, but before the beginning. Who are these people? Dare
Before
I
the
ask?
beginning, yes. Well, that's my mom as a teenager, my grandfather in the middle, and my grandmother standing on the steps of a home that we all shared summers with and in. My grandfather was a horticulturist and worked with the National Park Service, who helped to design the grounds of this huge home that still stands. It was built in 1917, and I'll go over it a little more when we see the picture of it. But yeah, back to my grandma and grandfather from Scotland.
So where was or is still the home located if it still stands?
It still stands in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh my, so you grew up in West Hartford?
Well, I actually there, and my hometown is Wethersfield, Connecticut, just outside Hartford.
Oh, for goodness sakes, you're a New England girl.
I'm a Connecticut Yankee.
Wonderful. And both grandparents emigrated from Scotland?
No, the others came from same place that Kathy Martin's did in Canada. And both of them came from there and worked their way down till they built a huge farm, a dairy farm in Connecticut.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, as you know, Kathy, who is not just your dear friend and very close colleague, but your co-author on the alien abduction files, and was the very first guest on this show. Talk about being a good sport.
Oh, she was thrilled to do it.
We move on to a beautiful automobile, and I'm guessing that's you and your mom?
No, again, that's my grandmother and my mom.
Of course.
Yep, standing there, yes. And I don't even know what kind of automobile that is. I wish I did. I tried to find out, but don't know.
A big, good-looking one.
Yeah, yep. And you can see back then the front windshield actually lifted up. You can see that one's raised a bit. It's summertime. And my grandmother was always the dresser. Had to have a hat, the jewelry, the dress, the purse.
I love it. I love it. This next one, again, your grandfather also looks like he knew how to put on the dog.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Because the type of work he did in a home like that required being dressed as the head of the estate. He literally ran that monetarily, inside, outside, took care of everything. So he had to be dressed to see people who came. And if the owner was up in Maine where his summer home was, then my grandfather had to handle what came about.
I see.
Yeah.
But again, he was a horticulturist. So the grounds, I mean, were designed and maintained by him. But it sounds like a bit more. He was kind of the full estate keeper as well.
Yes, he was. Yes. The man trusted him completely and offered it when my mom was really young for them to come and spend summers and to just stay in the home, have company, have whatever they wanted. So I was lucky enough to be able to do that when I was born.
And did it work out that they lived in their own home on the property, or did they live somewhere in the main building?
Main building. We just had, yeah. You'll see some of the inside, just a touch of it. What's left, they're trying to maintain the style and the manner of the home. Yeah. That's my grandmother's passport. So she
Oh,
could travel back and forth to Scotland and visit
ah,
her family there.
lovely.
Yeah.
Great face.
Yeah, she was a school teacher in Scotland, and they told her when she came to the United States that she did not have enough education to teach here. So she became one of the first women managers in a big department store in Hartford and retired from that.
Yeah, what a
Funny.
loser.
Yeah, what a loser.
Yeah, I'm sure she didn't have enough knowledge to teach, those Scots. Oh,
That's my mom and my dad, and they are dressed for prom. And
oh,
they're standing on the dairy farm that my other grandparents owned, and it was a beautiful place. I liked spending time there. But yeah, they're about to go to my mom's prom. My dad was already graduated from high school.
so they were high school sweethearts.
They were. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
And they got married pretty young too, because I was born by the time my mom was 18.
oh my gosh.
Yep. My dad had come back from World War II. He was the bomber in the B-52s.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was sure glad to come home to his bride. And she was going to college at the time, and she did finish business college while they were married.
And what did your dad go on to do professionally? I'm sure we'll get to that, but I'm out of curiosity right now.
Well, he went to school. He started out with drafting and doing that at night after he worked all day fixing cars. He worked for a one-man family-owned shop. They didn't want to lose him, and he kept moving ahead in school. His whole wish, his dream, was to work in aerospace, and that's where he ended up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a time. The
Yeah.
dreams that generation had that changed the world.
Oh, and come to fruition. You could wish something and you could gain it. Yeah.
That's a beautiful photo.
Yeah. That is their first home. And that's where I was brought home from the hospital. And this is in Hartford, Connecticut. This is actually taken by someone who went to see if it was still there, the home, and it is. That is it today. The upstairs, that little balcony, is where my bedroom was. This is the first home where I was taken aboard the craft. I was 2.5. So my parents couldn't figure out exactly what was going on. And so they covered that door to that balcony with one of our dressers, my sister and I, so we couldn't get out. But they knew something was happening anyway. Couldn't keep us.
Were you able at that age, or say by the time you were 3, to articulate any of this to them? Or did they deduce it somehow?
They knew something was going on, and I mentioned a friend. So they thought I had an invisible friend that only came to see me at night. He wasn't around during the day, and I told them that. But I think that there's another picture of that house that shows the side of it.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. Okay. You can see a little tiny upper window. My parents were in bed. There was nothing but an empty lot next to that home, still empty lot.
Yeah.
And they were lying in bed talking, and my dad saw some lights coming across the lot. Same place I saw, who I thought was Humpty Dumpty. And it came closer, and they were huge. And having been in those airplanes during World War II, he did know what he was looking at, something that couldn't have been a plane. But he said to my mom, if that hits us, we're done. And the next thing they knew, it was morning. Yeah.
One of the reasons that I wanted you to be on, besides the fact that we have been good and true friends since the moment that we met, and
Yes.
have kind of a mutual admiration society, is you made this work ultimately your profession. And at the same time, you have these archetypical early childhood memories that inform the case histories, to be dispassionate, of so many
Yeah.
people that have been through the abduction experience. But the fact that your parents have memories as well that are
Hmm.
as clearly defined, again, looking at the experience from different points of view, but not going into denial about it, just not understanding it. Um, this, for me, makes you all the more valuable in the field. And as we know, one of the most important aspects of being there for experiencers and abductees, working with them, assisting them to whatever degree that you're able to either come to grips, make their peace with, learn more about, is being a natural empath, caring about people and understanding um, either the hidden trauma or just that outsider sensibility that comes with this stuff, and the ability to, move on, follow your dreams, live your life despite the fact that it's going
Yeah,
on.
that's true. And there's my baby sister. And we're standing on the back lawn of that big home. My parents had sneaked away for a little trip to to New York City to see a show, and brought us back the stuffed toys that we were hanging on to. And happy to have
Oh,
our parents back. They didn't go away very often, and when they did, we didn't like it too much. So
yeah,
they always brought us something, but I was protective of my sister and
yes.
wanted to make sure, because she, as little as she was there, she was a runner. If you let go of her and she was gone. We once found her in the upper story in a hidden room in that mansion after looking for hours and calling her
Oh,
name. She was sitting up behind a saddle and had her thumb in her mouth and just waiting for someone to find her. She had her own sense of humor
way to
at
go,
that
girl.
age. Yeah.
May I ask you, did your sister have such experiences, or is this a situation like with me and my sister over the years, where I was shut off or knocked out or uninvolved when she was taken?
She denied it all her life, but
Fair
I
enough.
observed her being floated across the top of her crib
Mm.
and being taken. And my dad thought she was climbing because she got stuck in things, like I said, ran away as fast as she could to explore.
Yeah.
So he built, using plywood, the sides of the crib up, thinking she couldn't get out, and she
Oh
still
my
did.
gosh.
Yeah.
Like trying to block off the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm remembering now, when Dr. Wilhelm Reich became seriously involved in studying the UFO question in the fairly early 1950s, one of his first deductions was that the technology and the intelligence behind it do not run in any way on what we would call a mechanical sensibility. And it's one of the problems that, the military and the intelligence community had originally in trying to wrap their heads around it.
Yeah.
Um, the mechanics of what seems logical, block the door,
Hmm.
make the sides of the crib higher, are,
Yeah.
they're poignantly, nice try, but
Nice try.
hold my beer,
And that is so true.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
My grandfather, from Scotland, and he has always been my hero.
yeah,
We were so close, and I think you can see by the picture.
totally.
Um, we treasured each other
Yeah.
until the day he died. He was just extra special person in my life. So,
I have to say here, you could have been describing my relationship with my father's father. I had a wonderful relationship with my mom's father, but Grandpa and I was the firstborn post-war Jewish family. And you just have memories of staring into each other's eyes, just feeling nothing but love.
right.
And he was my hero in many respects because he was the first person who, by the time I was maybe 5 years old, had brought me to understand that there was such a thing called imagination. And
Yes.
we would use it as he would take me on walks around Manhattan,
Oh.
which was the beginning of my falling in love with my hometown. We would be on the edge of a street, and, as the host of a show, I'm supposed to let you talk and nod and smile and go, and I usually do, but I'm not behaving myself right now
Oh, and
because it's
that's
a
good.
memory I want to share.
Yeah.
I remember specifically, maybe I'm 6 years old, and we're standing on the corner of like 29th Street and Broadway looking west. And he said, now, all of these newer buildings, I want you to take them away with your imagination. Okay. Now replace them with buildings that look like these old buildings. Okay. And all of these people, the way they're dressed, make them dress the way from the picture book we were looking at, with the long skirts and the bowler hats and and all these cars, take them away and put just a few of the very old-fashioned cars like from the Laurel and Hardy movies with lots of horses and carts. You got it? Yeah, Grandpa. He said, now I want you to squint your eyes, which, okay. He said, that's the way this street looked 50 years ago. And he might as well have said 500 years ago. And I still walk around Manhattan like a tourist, but that relationship, what was your grandfather's first name?
His first name was Douglas.
Did you call him Grandpa or Grandfather? Or?
No, I had a special name for him. I called him Puppy Boy.
I love it. I love it. That's the best.
It just had the strength that I felt he had even back then. And that's what came out of me, and that's what I called him.
I'm sure he loved it.
Yeah, he did. He did. And there's the house. Yeah, that's the Severance mansion. The swimming pool was on that round lawn you see in this picture where I was sitting with my grandfather. There were 32 rooms, 4 fireplaces. It goes on and on. We had music lessons on a beautiful Steinway grand piano that was on you'd have to peek in the window on the left-hand side of that house, and that's where the music room was. Beautiful dining room. And it's a shame to see something like this, go downhill. They're trying to bring it back. It was a private women's college for a while. And then it became Butterworth Hall, and that was for poets and artists, and they lived there. So it kind of looked like my nephew was able to get a tour of that in the last couple of years. But there were woods to the left of it where you see kind of scarce shrub brush there. That was all forest, and then it opened into a vegetable garden, a flower garden, a rose garden, and my grandfather had done all that, but that was gone at this point. But yeah, beautiful home.
Do you remember the owners? And you and your sister must have had a relationship with them.
I do. I remember. He just seemed to be a very powerful yet kind man.
Yes.
Loved children. And his wife, her name was Dotha. And she would come and stay sometimes during the summertime because I remember my mom cooking dinner for everybody, and she liked to have something special. My mom would cook it for her. But yeah, I do remember.
That's great.
Yeah. And this was taken
Wow.
by my nephew when he got the tour a couple of years ago.
Mm.
So some of the original carpet's still there. They changed a couple of things. If you
Mm.
look at the bottom of the stairs, you'll see little tiny white knobs in the paneling.
Yeah.
Looks like little dots. One of those used to be a place where they kept all of the vases and flower,
Okay.
putting together the things to go in the vase to be inside the home. So it was a gardening room. And then to the right of that was a phone booth, and the front of that was all glass at one time. I can remember clear as a bell. And now they're both, you can tell how big they are. They're both restrooms.
Most people, of course, unless you're a student of architecture and history,
Mhm.
having a phone in the house before 1920 was, something of a status symbol.
Mhm.
And to give you an optimum listening opportunity to create a small telephone room. I
Mhm.
have a wonderful piece of furniture I inherited from my grandfather and grandmother, which is a telephone cabinet, very
Oh my.
Oriental revival circa 1920, with
Mhm.
two compartments, one for your phone book and one for your stand-up Elliot Ness type phone. But what a
Uh,
great detail to remember.
oh yeah, and isn't that special? This is our home in Wethersfield, the first new home
Ah.
that my parents built. So my sister and myself, in the wintertime, the sofa was moved, everything was moved. My mom just had a thing about that, and our big Christmas tree went in that corner.
Well,
So
nothing to say about that except yes, Mom.
that's right. Yeah.
Now, about how old are you girls in this picture?
Um, I think I was not quite a teenager.
Yeah,
I was probably 11, 12.
you look very grown up.
Oh,
Well, you do. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, that's what you're aspiring to.
Hmm.
Uh, were you and possibly your sister having these experiences regularly, irregularly, all through these years in, the old house, in this house? When did you have experiences when you visited the mansion? Was this
Yes.
something that kept threading its way through?
For myself, yes. My sister, I lost track of her after she had her own bed and the
Sure.
crib was gone, and we were beginning our young lives. But that stairway you saw behind us with the dog between, I came right inside after I was left in the park where our school was. I would
Ah,
come right in the front door, which was to the right of those stairs, and upstairs to bed. No one ever knew I was gone. We didn't lock our doors there. Small New England town, cars were open, nothing was ever stolen, and so I knew the door was open, and I would find myself outside in the dark, and I would just go upstairs to my room.
because this started happening before you're 3 years old, um, it's hard to explain to non-experiencers that this is simply the way it is. And your
Yeah.
thoughts are not, gee, is this happening to other people? It's, this is what happens. This is what
Yeah.
part of life is about.
Yeah. When you're that young, you don't stop to think. And of course, we knew everybody on the street. We knew everybody, all my teachers in school, everybody knew everyone. And I did stop to think once why someone didn't spot me standing in the park by the school, which was about 3.5 city blocks away. And I had to walk home. That happened a couple of times. Yeah.
Did there come a time when you were, truly verbal, 5 years, 7, 10, 12, where you tried to explain this to your parents?
Yeah, I did. I explained as best I could that someone came and they said, "Well, what's his name?" And I said, "Oh, I think it's John." but I made it up. Just, I have something to say because my mom liked all the details all the way down the line so she could try and figure out what was going on. And they came up with the conclusion that I had an invisible friend.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
What else could it be?
Yeah.
Did you intuit that this is something that you should probably keep to yourself or within a very small confine rather than having it be part of your subject matter with friends in, junior high school and when you're a teenager?
Quiet. I kept it that very quiet until I met who would be my best friend for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And she's gone now. But I always told her. Yeah. Yeah. It's Christmas time. So look at the old TV sticking out on the right. And just to the right of that was
Yes.
our piano. My sister was invited to go to Juilliard School of Music and turned it down.
Oh my gosh.
She was that talented. She could sing. She taught herself the guitar when she got older, teenager, and played in a little band that she formed. She was very, very talented, but never wanted that type of structure in her life.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
By the time you're in high school, well, let's even take it back before, 10, 12 years old, you are a reader. What kind of books are you drawn to? What books ignite your imagination? What are the books that you're reading for pure enjoyment?
Well, the first book I read all the way through, now my mind's gone blank, but it was over, I think, 1,000 pages, and I shouldn't have been reading it. I was in 6th grade, and it was about the war. Remember the love story and, oh my gosh.
The Winds of War?
No, you almost said it, though. I'll think of it. Yeah, so I was reading a lot. My parents and my mom read to us from the time we would sit still and listen. So I learned to read very early. And I've just got it. There was a huge star, Scarlett O'Hara. That was one of the names. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
Gone with the Wind.
That's it. Read it in 6th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's major. And I mean, it dealt with a number of adult subjects, again, highly stylized, now considered in part politically incorrect. Who cares? You can't remove things from their time. It's an extraordinary adventure of, the best and the worst. Was your family much into movie going? And if so, did you go to the movie theater together sometimes, or was your introduction to the world of films from television, or were you much of a film lover?
I was a big film lover because my parents were. So I was a young girl when we went to the first movie. And then my sister, on the other hand, was a little different at the movies. She didn't cry or scream, but we took her to Snow White to see that, thinking, we'd all like it. And when The Witch came, my sister stood up, little tiny girl, and said, "Where is Snow White's mommy?" So the whole audience in the big theater. Yeah.
Good. You got to keep your voice up in the big theater so everybody can hear you.
That's right. And her voice carried. Yeah. So there you are. We began by going to Hartford School of Drama, both of us. And then we were headed for summer stock. We stayed with that until we moved to California. And then kind of drifted into high school and had other things to do. So, yeah, very much into showbiz.
Such a life-changing move of 3,000 miles?
Well, my uncle, was actually my mom's cousin, moved from Connecticut to California, went to work for Aerojet, and kept calling my dad and saying, "Come on, there's a job here for you. This is what you want." Yeah. So, yeah. Oh. My mom made all our costumes.
How wonderful.
She also helped out other parents who needed help.
Ah,
So now you can see the front door behind me to the right,
yeah.
the dining room, which had some Christmas gifts in it. I can see she had packed memories, but
Hmm.
I used to hide, and I didn't know how I did it until I saw this picture again. When you see me standing there, if you look above my head, there's an odd cutout in the
Yep.
ceiling, but it looks like a tunnel that
Yep.
goes from our bedroom all the way across the hallway and into my mom's bedroom. And at times I would crawl in there and hide from the ET that came to get me.
Yeah.
Yep. So, ah, a snowman. This was a Cape Cod house
Hmm.
style. It went up in the back. It was 2-story, and it had what we called the dormer windows, and the
Sure.
bedroom went a long ways across the back,
Yeah.
and then the big dormer windows in the back. But that's your Connecticut snowstorm.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I'm struck in part, and it is an American archetype, although for many people, they have no idea. If one were to just look through a photo album with these pictures, it's fairly idyllic, um, in terms of the way that so many people see the world now, somewhat privileged, and everything just so, except that just behind the veneer, you are having these other worldly experiences, and they are
Yeah.
informing everything you are, everything you're thinking, your understanding of the world at large.
Yes. This was my very first boyfriend and
Oh,
his 2 sisters, and I did tell him what was going on
um,
because he lived across from our school in the park where I was dropped off.
oh
He
boy.
moved there. His dad was a sheriff, and I was coming out of, I was just in 6th grade, ready to go into 7th. And he came right out of his house, walked up to me and said, "Where are you going?" And I was going square dancing. And he said, "Me too." And so from,
Way to go.
yeah, so
Don't waste time.
he is gone now, passed
Uh,
away of Alzheimer's. He
hmm.
fought in Vietnam, and he found me after 40 years. So
Oh,
we were very close, the two girls, and I went out to Arizona where they lived and visited them. So I'm glad I did
I am
before
too.
he was gone.
How
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah. This is a story. I sang in the choir at high school.
Yeah.
And I had a boyfriend who took the picture, and when I broke up with him, he stuck it on my bedroom window. And I woke up in the morning, and there it was.
That's a
So,
great photo.
yeah, he was a good photographer. Yeah. And that was in California. That's my wedding picture.
Oh,
Yeah, my husband and myself, and he was about to leave for Vietnam 10 days following this picture. We'd only been married 14 days.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was young like my mom had been, and but
Yeah.
I finished school while he was gone for,
Wow.
gosh, a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And through this period of time, coming through high school, continuing your education, being a young married woman, these experiences were continuing.
Yes. I was chased down the street one night, and it was one of the entities I had seen when I was in grammar school.
Oh my gosh.
Hadn't seen him for a long time. Ran to my girlfriend's house 2 doors up. And again, they had their doors open. I just ran in. There were 6 kids there, and however many else came, his mom fed them. Her mom fed them. So I ran in and I told my friend's dad that there was something chasing me. He called the cops. He made us all sit over in a
Wow.
family room area, watch out a sliding glass door while the policeman ran through the backyard with a flashlight.
Oh my.
And then this entity came up and showed itself right in the sliding glass doors. And we were all yelling, "It's in the window. It's in the door." Then we saw the policeman run around through the gate to the front door, came in, and he said, "I'm really sorry, but I don't have anyone with me tonight, and I am not dealing with that." And he got in his car and took off.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did the entity look like? Very humanoid or?
No, very tall, very slender and lanky. His arms twisted. I used to call him the oil can man. Remember the old oil cans you could push the back of and they'd make a cluck cluck noise and
Yes,
the
of
oil would
course.
drip out.
Yes.
He had a hand like that he would put some kind of oil or something to cause me to just stop what I was doing.
Good
And
Lord.
it was that with an odd face. Yeah. Very tall and slender.
But you had witnesses on this one.
Yeah.
You actually saw this being that did not
Yes.
fully register as human, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
We talk like this and we go not into sometimes a missing time experience, but an accelerated time experience. And we are coming up to our first break.
All right.
So this is Peter Robbins with my guest Denise Stoner on Meanwhile Here on Earth, and we will be back in a few short minutes.
Hey members, the new KGRA-DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA-DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA-DB.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button, so just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome back. This is Peter Robbins on Meanwhile Here on Earth with my special guest tonight, Denise Stoner.
Oh, and Peter, I want to say that I wouldn't have wanted to do this with anybody else.
Thank you.
So thank you.
It means a lot to me. It's a privilege, really. One of the initiatives for this show, when I was invited to do it, was how can I do something different There are so many good radio shows and radio show hosts and podcast hosts. And I thought, for those of us that are somewhat knowledgeable about the subject, here are people we know in the professional sense, but we don't know. And if you're new to the subject, and that's a part of the audience that I am very much wanting to build, to be introduced to an author, a filmmaker, a researcher, by hearing the story of their life is a lot less intimidating. You know them to a degree by the end of the 2 hours, enough that you can say, I'd be interested in reading that person's book. So this is a privilege for us too. And, your openness on these very personal matters is appreciated more than I can say. I think the best of us in this field, well, we're educators. And the best we can do is use ourselves as example where appropriate, or, our scholarship. But going back to your life, here we are with your daughter.
That's with my daughter, yes. And, oh gosh, she was just a little one there, not even sitting up by herself. My husband, and of course the styles change with the times, don't they?
Yes. And color choices, it isn't, go figure, but yes.
Yeah. Boy. I think he has on that corduroy jacket that they were. This was in Colorado. So it was cold.
Yeah. And he is working in the aerospace industry here.
No, that's my husband. So he has always been
right, your dad, right?
Yeah, he's been in floor covering his whole life, and you'll see as we move along. I don't think there's a fiber he doesn't know something about.
Got it.
Or a tile, or a wood floor, or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And another great shot.
That's me. The long hair, the little girl squinting in the sun. That was Colorado also. One of the homes that we purchased that actually had a ghost in it. And I think some of us who are taken, experiencers, whatever you want to call us, we invite some of these things. We're open.
Yeah, and that's very good. The VETs that visit have somebody else to hang out with in their off hours. So you're a young mother, and you have talked to your husband about these childhood experiences, and he is accepting of them?
Yeah, he just, I think it was because of his mom. We have a picture later on who was just the most unusual spirited woman. And she used to go and listen to lectures on UFOs. Matter of fact, here went to Titusville where two people were speaking, and they said they would not be back after that night, that the craft was going to take them. No one could ever find them again. And on her way home, her husband, Ed Stepdad at the time, was working out at the Cape launching rockets, and some of the early ones. On her way home, she saw a huge craft go over her car and just slide away into the night. It was enormous, and she's always felt that those two people were in that craft.
Wow.
Yeah. And that is already myself and our daughter getting ready to graduate from high school, and we have moved to Florida.
Oh my gosh.
You can see in back of us the type of foliage has changed. Yeah.
Now, again, as a young mother with lifelong experiences, you were not yet a serious student, investigator, researcher. You were an experiencer. But your intuition probably told you that there might be some concern that the things that had happened to you all your life might happen to your daughter.
Yes, I was always kind of fearful of that, although I had accepted it. And a lot of times it is something that happens in the family from early on forward. But our daughter was never taken. And she was so accepting of anything. Of course, she had that grandma that she was something else. She was raised to go to, again, a school of drama in the arts. If someone said to her, "We're going out tonight, you need to dress up," this is Ed's mom. She could throw some material on the floor, cut it out, and look like $1,000,000 that
I
night.
love it. Wow.
Yeah.
Way to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is our daughter. She's actually 53 now. I think this was taken just as she turned 50.
she looks beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. She's very special to us.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
And this is back in Colorado, not too long before we moved to Florida. And we were finishing up the work with the Saudi Arabia team.
Oh, yes.
And I was driving home. You can see I was dressed kind of for winter. I was wearing a jacket, and I was driving home in black ice. And some days after, it took me an hour to get home, and it was already dark when I got there. I'd sit down for just a minute.
That is nerve-wracking. If you don't live in like the Northeast or the Northwest, that phenomena is one of the scariest. Where
it is.
There's no traction whatsoever, and you don't even see it coming.
No,
just
you don't.
An inch of snow.
Yeah, true. And what have we? Oh, that's me in a fishing pole. This is up on the Arkansas River, and I was an avid fisherwoman, and I loved eating fresh rainbow trout in the morning. This was taken not far from our campsite, so I was out looking for something good to eat that could be cooked fresh. Yes, I like to fish.
Well, you've certainly settled into a state where you can get a nice variety of fresh seafood. Growing up in the city and on Long Island, 20 minutes from the ocean, that is the main culinary thing I miss in this beautiful part of New York State. Fresh seafood.
Yeah.
They can fly in anything and it's fine, but
sure,
it's the difference between
out of the water
or out of the store.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Oh, yes. Hello. And this is our driveway in Colorado. we had
now.
No, we had come back from a trip from Denver to Colorado Springs, where we stayed with my parents for the weekend, which we did often, about every other weekend. And this time, Denver had the blizzard. Colorado Springs did not. We didn't know what to expect when we got home. And so we just kind of rolled down the street and parked. That's my husband's truck in the back there, but we were in our car, and we just rolled down the hill and stopped where that big drift was.
That's a very good idea.
Yes, it was. And this is in Colorado. And it's at a time when we lived in a little town called Gunnison, way up in the mountains, 2 crossroads. Ed was just out of the Army back from Vietnam. He had decided that was enough of that, and he was getting out. I agreed. We were on a trip to an area where actually Kathleen Marden lived and worked, and we didn't know it.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
We were both there. We both witnessed a UFO flying over the foothill behind us in the daytime.
Once you made friends years later, did you ever put together that it might have been?
Yes. Complete accident. I invited her for lunch here in Florida. She came, and I was beginning to tell her a little bit about what had happened to me, about my life and the ETs. And I said, and when we were up in Gunnison, and I saw her eyes get big, and she said, where? And I told her, and she said, well, when? And we just started putting pieces together. Wow. And figured out that we probably saw the same craft on the same day.
Gosh.
Yeah.
If I can ask, when Ed was in the service in Vietnam, was he in combat or in, behind the lines position?
He was flying a helicopter, also getting parts for
Oh,
helicopters.
boy.
He was with the 1st Cav Division,
Yeah.
the first troop or whatever you want to say, to go over there and clear the jungle.
Wow.
So they had to take turns. You would buy parts 1 minute, fly the helicopter the next. He was in 2 helicopter crashes, was rescued by the Air Force, I believe it was. Yeah, I think so. And he was actually on a beer run. And the beer went down the river with the helicopter. But
a casualty mourned by many, I'm sure, at the moment.
Yeah. This was my boss with the National Park Service, and I am receiving an award with a nice check.
Way to go.
As a thank you, yes. Yeah.
And was this for the Saudi park
Yes,
project?
Yes. Myself and the 3 guys I worked with all got a nice check and a thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah. And this is, let me see, where are we? This one I was looking at, and it's actually here. I'm retiring as a civil servant to the Navy.
Okay.
Those are other retirees around us. There is my mom sitting, you can see, with her cup of tea.
I love it.
And my sister, who were able to come for the retirement ceremony.
Outstanding.
Yeah. And that's Ed, myself, again, getting a little award and a plaque, and following seas.
Great.
So a wish for following seas. And that was my retirement.
Now, here you are working as in a job that required certain security clearances. You were helping to clear Navy personnel who wanted to work in the realm of nuclear energy, whether it was in the submarine corps or whatever.
Right.
And you are a hardcore, lifelong UFO abductee and experiencer.
Right.
I'm sure there was nothing on the forms that you had to fill out originally to get this job that said, by the way, have you ever been taken away by aliens in a craft of undetermined origin? This
No,
was something you had to keep to yourself, I imagine. And
yeah, somewhat. They knew I was doing something because I stayed at my desk for lunch. If you look at this room, you will note there are no windows. This was a highly secure building.
Yeah.
And a lot of the rooms and even the outside rooms had no windows. It was a research facility for the Navy and for other military. And they knew something was different about me because I volunteered. We could, if we had a clearance, for some of the tests they were running. For instance, air sickness, motion sickness couldn't get me sick no matter what. And they'd say, why is this? I had to sign a sheet of paper about a half-inch thick saying, I could get sick a week after this test. I could do this. I could become ill, and I'm signing this waiver. And then they'd put me in a dome, and they would tell me, this is what I want you to do. And I always wondered, they showed me what I was supposed to look for. And they'd say, we want you to call out. They're at 2:00. They're at 3:00. And I asked, are we looking for aircraft? No.
Interesting.
So I can say that now.
Yes.
But I had one of those, we have toys now, but I could see in real time, looking for these objects. And the pilot who was flying this craft in another room of this dome-shaped place inside that building always got sick. Never did. Couldn't make me sick.
Now, during this period of 11 years that you are working in this highly secure job for the United States Navy, you were still having visitations being taken.
Yes. Yeah.
May I ask, and if this is awkward, please just let's go on to the next question.
Sure.
Did you ever have a abduction experience within the physical areas of a United States Navy property?
I did not. I often wondered. We had a key card that allowed us into the rooms and the places in that building. It was 3 stories, built like a kind of a very modern aircraft carrier.
Hmm.
So we could go anywhere that we had a need to be.
Yes.
Some of the rooms, I wasn't so sure what was going on in there. And some of the rooms, there were things going on. And I often wondered if what I was supposed to track had to do with UFOs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This is the group of us that retired together. All worked in the same area of the building. They offered to send us all to Mississippi if we
lovely.
wanted, because this was an early out for us, a buyout.
Oh, I see.
So we got a nice check aside from any awards we won for the buyout. Plus, I had full retirement. I was
That's
there long
wonderful.
enough. Yes. But yeah, that building was fascinating. It was dead silent. Couldn't tell if it was raining, snowing, sleeting, what it was doing outside.
Day or night.
Yeah, couldn't hear it. So it was well secured, both sound and sight.
Out of curiosity, do you remember, these are, business, so to say, facilities where the work is being done. Were there clocks on the walls of the rooms?
Yes, there were clocks. But if you walked down the hall from one end of the building to the other, you couldn't hear your footsteps on the floor.
Yeah.
You could not hear a pin drop, and this was in the dead silent. Yeah. Our offices, some people couldn't work there. They became very claustrophobic and couldn't stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. In your time, again, working as a contractor, so to say, for the United States Navy, did you get close enough to any of your colleagues that you became friendly enough or on intimate enough terms as friendly acquaintances where the subject of UFOs came up?
One person, and I didn't go too far because, again, that was something they would say, "What are you reading?" At lunchtime, they'd come into my office. "What are you reading?" And I would just hold the book up, and it was something on UFOs. "Why are you doing that?" "Well, you don't need to be doing that here." Well, that made me even more determined to do that here. And so I would bring little things, decorative pieces in. One of them said, "Be still and know." They saw that as soon as they entered my office. And they'd say, "What does that mean?" And I just said,
It means be still and know.
"Let me be still and know," or "What do you think it means?"
That's not what we asked you, man. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well.
Now, this is Ed's dad. And I think this was the first time I ever met him. He was a doctor, delivered most of the babies in one of the small towns here. His practice was there. And he had a big secret. And that secret was that he was Jewish. And his mother, you'll see her picture, had escaped from Germany. There she is.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And I loved her to pieces. And Ed's grandfather was full-blooded Native American Susquehanna Indian.
Whoa, what a combination.
What a combination. Yeah. She met him when she came when she was 16. And they got married. They had Ed's dad, and she wanted him to go to medical school, and he was going to listen to his mom. He was extremely intelligent, but at the time, you could not say that you were Jewish, or he would not have gotten into medical school.
Yeah. And listeners and viewers should be aware, this was, not an outrageous exception to social norms. Anti-Semitism was just ingrained in the public mindset, and that was the way it was. I remember as a kid becoming aware that there was a golf course in town. It's an elementary school. I was kind of coming into some sense of my Jewish identity as a kid. where Jewish people were not allowed to be members, which I thought was
Mhm.
very curious.
Yeah.
And, then you learn about anti-Semitism later, but how interesting that, well,
Yeah. And if you asked her, and she had a German accent, and if I said to her, well, tell me more about that, even in her 70s, late 70s and 80s, she would say, oh, the German is from high school. Yeah. Yeah. It was still hidden. That's Ed's dad while he
gosh,
was going to medical school.
what a beautiful portrait.
Very nice, isn't it? Yeah.
There's something about the hand coloring of the time that,
Yes.
is just so evocative, and thinking about what was going on at
Yeah.
that moment in history. Gosh.
Yeah. He began as an intern in New York City, where Ed was born.
Oh my. Oh,
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And that's him.
Ah,
After he had moved to Florida, he was kind of headhunted by a woman here who set him up in practice. He was lucky that way.
wow.
Set his whole practice up, built the building, and said, if you'll come, so will they. And so he then treated prisoners. He went to the jails and treated them. He helped people if they could only trade something in a way of getting
Wow.
medical help. That's
Old
what
school.
he did. Yeah. And then he became the medical director of what is now UCF. He set up that board who voted the permission in for young men to become doctors. And so now there's a huge medical school. Some of it here used to have his name on it. He was athletic doctor and went to all the football games and had quite the life.
There is a dynamic, if you are an abductee experiencer, I've observed over the decades, and it has to do with who can or who should I share some of this with, and who should I not? And often it's predicated not on, gee, they'll call me, crazy, or, they'll ridicule me. It has to do with people that you love that you almost don't want to inflict this information on.
Right.
They've got their own complexities in their life, and you find yourself, I've observed, weighing that balance of, would this be of value to them, or would it potentially estrange them from me, which I do not want to risk. I say that to lead in. Did you ever discuss this with your father-in-law, your own extraordinary experiences, or was a line that you felt you didn't want to cross with him?
That's a line I didn't want to cross with him.
Sure.
He and I had our own relationship.
Yep.
Was very special. He was a very strong, very determined individual. I wasn't sure how he would take it. And then there was his mom, who was still sending packages back to Germany through Canada, of all things. I would say, how are you doing that? Oh, that's the way we have to do things. So I never did get that story. But she was a fascinating woman. I never said anything to her either.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How fascinating. I'm making an educated guess here that it was probably to relatives in what we used to call East Germany. And that because of the Cold War and, America's presence rather than the Canadians, who knows, but it might have had something to do with that. Yeah. Oh, well.
And there she is. You can hardly see her. She was a little woman, but boy, oh boy, don't get in her way. And there he was. And he was very calm and easygoing. And that's Ed's sister and brother. They were both adopted.
Oh.
Ed's parents divorced, and when his dad remarried, who became his nurse, she couldn't have children. She was a Navy doctor, a Navy nurse, and had some harm come to her aboard ship. So they adopted these two children. And the jackets we were wearing are leather jackets.
Yeah.
And Ed's grandmother worked and ran for the owner, and it's famous, and I can't think of the name of it, in Pennsylvania, this coat
Wow.
factory. And the man cared for her so much, he still sent jackets for her
For
family.
goodness sakes.
Yep.
That's classic good looks, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what we do comes back to us in this life.
Yeah. That's for sure. And there is Ed's dad on the right with the glasses. And remember Marcus Welby, MD?
Yes.
Robert Young.
Robert Young.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
They met at some sort of conference and got to talking, and they just talked and talked and talked. And somebody came up and took a picture and put it in the paper here in Florida.
For
Yeah.
those too young to remember or know, Robert Young was actually a matinee idol of the 30s into the 40s. And in the late, I guess in the 60s, he starred as a famous, physician on, a medical show. Marcus Welby, of course, but here he is with the real doctor. Cool.
Yep. And there's the two grandmothers, Ed's grandmother and my grandmother from Scotland. Both of them meeting for the first time in Colorado.
Wow. That must have been something.
It was. And they really liked each other.
Oh, good.
And corresponded for years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And there's Ed's mom.
Beautiful.
She was a beautiful woman. She had been a model. Like I said, she could cut hair, and she could sell you just about anything. Her parents, her father was an optometrist, and ran his business. I think you'll see that home too, out of his home. There it is. That's where Ed spent a lot of his years, in Pennsylvania. Yeah. His grandfather's practice was down in the bottom right, and the rest of the home was theirs. I was lucky enough to be able to stay there.
Gosh.
I think I was there 2 or 3 times, and that house was haunted.
Oh. Well, there's a house that definitely predates the First World War, I'm guessing. And at this time, most homes, even stately homes, were built without garages. You had a carport that you parked your car under or pulled it under in inclement weather. That was originally designed for horse traffic.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful home. And that's me. I had gone.
There we go.
There we go. I had gone beyond your regular scuba diving. I was now entering the caves, and you needed double, triple everything when you did that. This was a part of my training. You wore double tanks. You carried 5 flashlights, and so I was getting ready to enter the Florida aquifer.
Okay, now. For a lot of people, even those of us that, have snorkeled in warm waters and looked at, wonderful coral formations with beautiful exotic fish, this is, I'm going to die, or there's a good chance. What compelled you? Was it just an innate sense of curiosity or discovery or adventure that made you want to learn how to do all this, qualify, know how dangerous it was? Like, knowing how to use a tool and taking pride in it, and then getting to go places that very few people could ever go. Was it a combination of those things? What drove you?
It was a combination. I was one of the first women to take up cave diving. There are fossils underneath us here in Florida, especially that I had to see what was around the next corner. It was an exercise in self-rescue and controlling panic. Because you've got yourself to worry about, and you really should not rescue another individual from a cave unless you know them very, very well. And this is in a cave. This is one of the caves here in Florida, and you can see that's a great big light I'm holding in one hand, and I'm balancing my buoyancy compensator to keep from stepping into the silt. And that's the rope that we run so that we can find our way out. So you can see a little tiny arrow pointing the way out.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a potential, God forbid, if you become oxygen starved or even just panic, to lose your sense of direction and the knowledge that if you haven't double checked everything and your light or other lights go out, you are in pitch darkness.
Pitch. There's no darkness like that. But you have to know where you have run that line, and you make an O with your index finger and your thumb over it. You don't want to yank on it because you'll pull it out at the wall.
Oh,
so you make an O over that line, and you follow it out. And
again, talk about potential for claustrophobia. This is something, and I have taken more than my share of risks in many countries and places where you would never want to find yourself in modern times on my own. This is a line I have never been able to cross. There is that innate fear of being in a cave, in the water, in potentially complete darkness, under a zillion tons of rock. And no matter how interesting it's going to be, tell me about it when you get out.
I'll have a beautiful megalodon tooth from those walls.
That's a reason to go in. There you go.
There you go.
But now this is a whole nother level of the game. My gosh.
Yeah, that's in the Bahamas. My husband took the picture. Beautiful, beautiful dive. Yeah, magic. Gosh. Yeah, gorgeous.
So again, to come back to our thread that runs through our narrative here, did you have abduction or visitation experiences in the Bahamas, for example?
No, but we did when we were going to dive in the aquifer, because the way you find some of those sinkholes is take a right at the farmer's barn and a left at the fence and go into the woods there, and you'll find your dive hole. So we were taken, Ed was able to draw a picture of an entity putting me back in the truck after I had been taken. Yeah, and that story is in the book. I think there's even the drawing that Ed did, and Kathleen Martin did some of his hypnosis work to help him decide what had happened, because he knew he had felt strange. He knew that the truck didn't feel right. He knew that I wasn't there. And then the entity putting me back in the seat.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, The Alien Abduction Files by Kathleen Martin and Denise Stoner. Must reading. Again, the best we can ever do in a broadcast like this, even though what we have of the 2 hours seems like a respectable amount of time, is just scratch the surface and hopefully make you a little more comfortable in beginning to explore this more on your own, or at least take that next step. And again, going from the very exotic to the mercantile.
And that was our store. That's what we did after I retired from the Navy. We opened our own tile and carpet store.
And some people would not call that retirement.
No, it wasn't. I went to work every day. Next door to it was a movie theater, and it helped to draw customers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, there's Ed's dad
on
the left, and that is the lady that he was seeing before he died. This was our grand opening, and Ed's brother and sister. We had everything catered. It turned out really nice. Yeah.
Wonderful. Eat, drink, and choose your carpeting.
There you go.
There's
another angle of it at night as we were leaving. Yeah, we were there a few years and have to do a little bit of boating. I loved sailboat. So this was our few years with a sailboat in Lake Monroe, which is a pretty big lake here. It runs into the St. Johns River. So we like to do that.
And what was the name of your sailboat?
You know something? I tried and I can't remember. I don't remember. This is
I
the
love it.
Banana River going out to the ocean, and we had jumped off to swim on the bottom left one, and I had made all the curtains and cushions and everything for the inside of it. And yeah, a little bit of sailboating.
Lovely.
Okay.
Now we make a jump.
We make a
Now
jump.
You are in this transition period. Something happens, and you decide to go from your regular life with its extraordinary aspects to becoming a professional in the work. You have now connected with Kathleen Martin. You are friends, you are colleagues, you're working together. And how did you're working on cases together? And I remember, having the privilege of being a bug on the wall with you two. When I was living in the guest house of Kathleen and Charlie, and you would come over every day. And just seeing what you were doing and learning about the cases that you were working on, which it wasn't just interesting, it was a privilege. And at some point, how did the book Genocide, how did you begin to work together on a book rather than just casework?
Well, it just happened one day. Kathleen said, and she kind of hemmed and hawed, I'm thinking of doing another book, and I'm thinking of, writing it about people who have been taken. And so would you like to write it with me? She just came right out.
Okay, then.
All righty, then. This picture was taken inside the Daytona Museum of Arts and Science.
Oh, how wonderful.
And I spoke there every year for about 5 years, working with Charlie Carlson, who ran a TV show called Weird Florida. He went and found all the funny things. And Charlie's gone now, which is a shame. Wonderful man also. He's got books of his own. But I met so many people. This was Halloween. Yeah. And for a museum to take on the group of people we had in there was highly unusual.
I agree. Of course, it depends on the curators, the directors, some more adventurous than others, as staid as, old-fashioned gallery owners. And we have a mandate. And we don't want to potentially embarrass the establishment. We rely on, private funding. We have, donors. And to associate ourselves with flying saucers and little green men, I'm sorry, we cannot go that line. So doubly good for them. That's
excellent.
Courageous of them.
Excellent. We even did psychic readings from the stage. It was amazing. This man was known from the movie The Godfather. And he came out to the museum to visit. His name slips my mind, but other people would know it if they saw it. Is it John?
Martino.
John Martino. What a nice man. And just come out and wander among the normal people for a night. He was something else, a really nice man to meet. And he was soaking up all the news and information on UFOs.
Got it. Okay, right. He played, as we see here in the text, Paulie Gaetano. And as somebody who is, seen The Godfather, I'll say conservatively, at least 40 times. Yes. One of the most interesting things about the work, I think, is some of the extraordinarily interesting people you meet who you would never meet otherwise, who simply have an interest in the subject and are as intrigued about you as you may be about them, as we are to a degree starstruck by, gee, I know you from the movies or from some television show or something. I once had Malcolm McDowell, who,
Oh.
Clockwork Orange and so many other
Mm-hmm.
great films, who his only UFO related credential would be that he was in one of the Star Trek franchise, films that passed me by. I was, the first two seasons and Spock and Kirk, and I'm fine. Um, but he
Yeah.
was a guest celebrity at Roswell one year for their
Uh,
big event. And
yeah.
we had a little bit of time together, essentially as these VIPs. It's a meet and greet, and I'm sure they're
Mm-hmm.
very well paid, and then they get, a certain amount of money for each photograph that they sign and pose with whatever. And I told him that I worked on contract for the city and
Mm-hmm.
had been involved in research and was an author. And within, a room with a lot of people, he just came close enough to me, maybe within 6 inches, smiled and said, "If I'm off, it's by a word." He said, "It's all bullshit, though, of course, isn't it?"
Oh, my word.
The smile.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, "Actually, no, it's all true. And if you
Mm-hmm.
give me a mailing address of, say, your agent, I will be happy to send you absolutely gilt-edged, authentically declassified documents going back to," and he kind of drew away a little bit, like this was supposed to be
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
Be that as it may, we're off on a tangent here.
Isn't that amazing, though? That's just
Yes.
amazing. Now, this you can see Kathleen
Yep.
Martin,
Yep.
myself, and the owner of this beautiful home.
Mm.
Gosh, I believe we were headed towards South Florida. No, it wasn't. We were in Casadega. If anybody knows what Casadega is, I'll explain it. We were there and invited to do some table tipping on that enormous
Oh my.
mahogany table, and we
Yeah.
did. That table moved all over the place.
Really?
Yes. This woman's son, who's sitting between Kathy and I, recognized something in him when he was a young kid. He could do readings. He could tell when something was coming that shouldn't, bad storms, all of that. And so he walked over to the table and said, "Mom, teenager, I can make this table move." And yeah, he can make
How
the table move.
how did you and Kathy learn about him?
Well, Casadega is a town here in Florida that is made up in the camp side of it of all psychics.
Oh,
They've
like Lilydale here in New York
that's where
State.
they came from. That's where they stem from. Yes, and
Oh
so
my.
we like to go up there and snoop around a little bit now and then. And we had been told if we went. Matter of fact, I think Kathy was speaking that day, and I think I might have in their city hall type thing. So when we went there, that's when we were invited. Would you come with us? And I'll show you what real table tipping is. And
Mm,
oh boy, you could not prove otherwise. It lifted off the floor. We had to run alongside that big table
good
to
Lord.
stay up with it. Yeah, fascinating.
Now that begs a question that, playing devil's advocate here, that certain people who are serious students of ufology, colleagues, well known and lesser known, who might say, you're getting involved in this kind of psychic phenomena that has such an edgy reputation of, there've been so many charlatans and goes back, more than 100 years of
Hmm.
people fooling other people in spiritualism. Don't you think that you're creating issues or potential challenges to serious UFO studies? Again, I'm asking in the spirit of a devil's advocate, knowing that much to originally my resistance and concerns, there are crossovers.
Oh,
In
yes.
these experiences open you up to other experiences or attracting certain energies or what have you that make it more complicated in the
Hmm.
work. But you know what? That's the way it is.
That's the way it is. And we're having to sort that out now. I see that little one.
This
We're
is
having
the
to,
official Meanwhile Here on Earth cat.
I think
I'm not at
so.
liberty to give his name because
No.
otherwise the paparazzi would surround the house. Millions of fans around the world, right, Juno? Too late. Hi, boy.
Oh, look what you did. No, when we get a case in, and it didn't happen when people first started to come out and admit that they might have been taken, they've been close up with a saucer, a disc, whatever you would like to call it. And all of a sudden, in the last maybe 5 or 6 years, people started to say, well, I had all that, but what about all this? And they start to talk about seeing spirits. They can't tell the difference between that and an ET. They have no idea what to do with it, but it's there now. What are we going to do with it?
I know from the little work and research that I've done, which has been mostly over the shoulder of colleagues who have delved into this area of study, that sometimes these presences are associated with a specific piece of architecture where either they departed or something profound happened, and happens to be where maybe they have lived part of their life and had this whole other series of, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, whatever the source of these other intelligences are,
Yes.
crossing over in the same, piece of real estate, basically. Yeah. And that's part of your thread that runs your life.
That's true. And so I have taken it upon myself to begin studying what have we got here, just an ET? Have we got spirits visiting at the same time? Do they come through the same vortex or portal? How do they arrive? Do they know each other? We've got to figure out all of that.
Denise, without betraying any confidences, can you give us an example of... again, the word case is so dispassionate. We're talking about a person's life here, and often the most extraordinarily memorable, traumatic, poignant, however it works for them or they experience it. Give us an insight into a case that you and Kathleen have explored, worked, researched, investigated together, where somebody who checks out and is hardcore abductee with every, bell and whistle, also has this other aspect of experiences in their life.
Yeah, that's so true. There's a woman that both Kathleen and I know. I'll give her first name. It's Rebecca, because I don't think she'd mind. Called me years ago. This gal is a pianist. She writes songs. She teaches children now. She's been on Broadway. I can give those kinds of hints. And she worked for a man on his property while he was in his older years until he passed away. And she got up one night and saw something walking in the hallway and began to follow. What is this? A spirit? Is this somebody coming for him? She didn't know. And then she went outside and took a picture. I have it somewhere. You can actually see the opening or vortex coming from the sky down to the ground. And within it, folded up, is something in a fetal position. We don't know if it's an ET or a spirit. A pilot actually flew over that opening when it was on the property, over the property, and could see another place in time as he flew over.
Several specific questions come to mind here. Have you and Kathleen or anybody looked into the physics of this photograph, any kind of photo analysis or deeper investigation into the image itself?
We've had it looked at. I still have a copy of it. It was a copy made from the original, and I'm getting a lot of, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I can see what you're talking about. I can see the odd light refraction coming down from upward, and this thing about ready to drop off out the end into the property, almost as if being born. Fascinating.
Now, I'm curious about the pilot. I'm going to assume this was a private pilot in a smaller plane flying low enough, obviously, to observe,
Yes.
but then to be so caught up in what he saw to actually take a photograph while flying. Or was it somebody else in the plane?
No, it was him. He stopped and took the picture. Hope they got it. And he actually flew through the upper portion of it so that he could look both down at the property and up. And he could see something that it wasn't there. It didn't exist, but yet it did. And he wondered, what would happen if he flew upward? He stayed level because he was so shocked and surprised at what he was seeing. No one really knows what these things are, but as long as we have the pictures, we can keep working at it.
And somehow did he connect with the property owner and make this photo of it? Wow.
Yes, he connected with the woman who worked there.
That says something about something in itself, that he was, so driven to find out his own answers and to supply what he may have intuited was information that would be of value to her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the whole thing is fascinating. The man has gone now. We were making arrangements to go and investigate the property when he became too ill and passed away. And then she no longer worked there. So it's a shame because whoever has that property now may think it's haunted, but may not be aware there are other things going on. Yeah.
Here's a photo we both have some affection for.
Yeah, so I see Travis Walton, I see you, I see me, and Kathleen Martin. Let's see who else is back there. Do I see Paul Eno?
Eno, the broadcaster on our right.
Yes.
We have Mike. I'm blanking with the beard. I've got the book that was written about him. Granite Skies here. Mike Stevens, of course, a good friend and a colleague. And next to him, of course, Richard Dolan. This and Ben Eno on the far right. This is the Exeter, New Hampshire UFO Festival Conference from several years ago, which unfortunately twice now we've had to push back. And hopefully we will have next Labor Day weekend.
I hope so.
But a very special event, one that we love.
It is. And, I wonder who they all are. Well, there's me in the right-hand corner, Kathleen Martin, and two of our best friends. We were just a bunch of gals out shopping and looking for trouble.
Way to go. I
Came out really good.
You guys in an alley. That could be intimidating.
Both of the other women, Maddie Tobias and that's Ann Castle, both of them work in MUFON.
Excellent.
And I had to put this one in for the end.
Absolutely.
Kathleen Martin, Stanton Friedman, and myself shared a vendor table. Stan was just at the height of who he is and who he was. We always asked him to sit on either side so Kathy and I could talk to each other. And his response always was, "I am a thorn between two roses, and that's where I shall remain." And he wouldn't move.
We love and miss him like crazy. But
we do.
Certain people, you love and you miss them. You're sad that they're on the other side, but you think of them and smile. We're lucky enough to have so many great memories and time spent together and lessons learned. And what a guy! As I say, a great guy and a great man.
And a great man.
And this, again, for viewers and listeners, is the cover of the Alien Abduction Files. Denise, before we go into the closing few minutes, again, your email address where people can contact you if they wish to.
Yes, it's dmstoner1 @gmail.com.
Great. Now, in this moment in time where UFO news has become mainstream, where the historic ridicule factor has been winnowed down to such a modest level that the way I see it is every year now, and increasingly probably geometrically rather than arithmetically at this time, which has never been the case, more and more people care less and less what other people think about what they think about the subject of UFOs. They're 10 years ago, 5 years ago, not something you mention at a dinner party or outside of a small circle of friends. Now, it's on Fox, it's on CNBC. It's the subject of a zillion new posts on the internet, and people can talk about it.
Yeah.
There are, certain key people in the work who almost have celebrity status. But for you and me, it's really all about the people that have the experiences, the abductees, the experiencers, as we call them. I know statistically that more and more people now, rather than 10, 20, 30 years ago, are reporting positive experiences, and I think that's great. More and more people are delving into the area of consciousness and UFOs. However, the reality is there are still many people who are traumatized, who are suffering,
Yes.
who are at effect of this. Can you, as we end the show, please speak to them?
Sure. To all of you who are having experiences and just don't feel that you can go there and tell your story yet, at least reach out to one of us. Reach out and let us listen, because that's what we're there for. I'm here to support and to hear what you have to say. Sure, there may be some bad guys out there, just like there are in humans, because we're a warlike people. There may be some from a planet out there is just like us, and needs taming down some. The majority of the stories are full of kindness and hoping to improve the earth. Don't feel alone. Don't do that for a minute. Again, reach out. I'm here to listen, and there are many others of us ready to hear your story.
Denise Stoner, thank you so much. I'm just sorry that our time has flown. We will repeat having a panel discussion the next few months involving women experiencers and abductees who are working in the work and who are mothers. And I can't thank you enough for joining me. I am crazy about you. I love you. I can't wait till we
Love
get
you.
to see each other again.
I know.
And next week, our guest will be Bryce Martin. Bryce is one of the most informed people on the UFO subject in the entire entertainment industry. Bryce was executive producer of the cult classic television series years ago, Dark Skies. He is the co-author, along with Richard M. Dolan, of AD After Disclosure, and it is going to be an amazing 2 hours next week. Please take care, stay safe, stand up for what you believe in, and be kind. See you next week.